Welcome back, 3D students. In this video, we're going to set up a camera to follow a path around our sword that will give the illusion of the sword revolving in the scene. And this is called a carousel render. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is switch to the top viewport by pushing T on our keyboard. And then we're going to create a circle path that's going to go around our sword. So for this, we're going to use Shapes in the Create tab. Going to create a circle, and we're going to click and drag in the center just like this. And then let's activate the Move tool by pushing W on the keyboard, and that stops creation mode and activates the Move tool at the same time. And now what we need to do is center this circle on our sword. So let's click our sword, and then let's go to the Hierarchy tab. Select Effect Pivot Only, and we're going to select Center to Object. And that centers the pivot point around the sword object that we have there. Turn off Effect Pivot Only, and then we're going to select our circle, and we're going to use Shift A, Align, and that's going to align our circle and our sword by pivot point. And now we're going to create a camera that will follow our path and pivot around our sword. So let's go to the Create tab, select Camera, and we're just going to select Physical Camera, and we're going to click and drag from the path to the sword. And then let's go to the Modify tab, and let's come over here to the Physical Camera target in our Scene Explorer. That makes it easy to select, and let's Shift A, align that to our sword as well. And then let's take the camera and put it sort of on our path there. And now what we're going to do is constrain this camera to this path, and that will automatically animate it following the path around the circle. So for this, we're going to select the camera and go to Animation, Constraints, Path Constraint, and that activates this dotted line, and we can pick our path by clicking on it. So now if we scrub the animation playhead here, you'll see that the camera rotates around the circle. And now what we need to do is switch to the front viewport, because our circle, which is in our outliner over here, right here, may not be where we want it. Let's raise that up a little bit, and when we do that, the camera follows it. See, we just don't want that to be, on the ground or anything. So now let's switch to the camera view by coming up here to our viewport settings, clicking on Front, and select Cameras, Physical Camera. And this is now what our camera sees. If you were in wireframe, switch back to default shading. And then let's scrub the animation and make sure everything rotates smoothly. Now when we push play down here, you'll see that the camera rotates continuously around the sword, and it loops from beginning to end. Now if your camera is not rotating smoothly around your sword, if it's zooming in and out on your sword, then that means your path is not centered on your sword. Or it could also mean that your camera target, is not aligned to your sword. So you need to make sure those two things are aligned. Now, the next thing we're going to need to do is render all the frames, all 100 frames of our animation that we've created here. And I've made a video about that. Basically, the video is about how to render a video frame by frame. It does use the sword as an example, and that will be the last video in this series. And I'll see you then.